Hello, thank you for joining with me today. We are in Ken Wapnick's Journey Through A Course in Miracles text. This is volume 1 of a 4-volume set by Kenneth Wapnick, PhD, published by the Foundation for A Course in Miracles. We are on page 46 in chapter 2, and we are reading about the tiny mad idea. This is in chapter 2, paragraph 1. Section 1, paragraph 1, 7 through 8. The inappropriate use of extension or projection occurs when you believe that some emptiness or lack exists in you and that you can fill it with your own ideas instead of truth. This process involves the following steps. And now Ken's talking. Soon after this, the phrase inappropriate use of extension drops off and projection is used almost exclusively for the ego, as I mentioned earlier. The 4 steps Jesus is going to describe are really not distinct, but simply different ways of describing the arrogant son who believes that God did not do a good enough job, at creation, my voice. Something is missing, and the Son can supply the lack that God is unable to. All right, so this continues the reading in the text, and this is sentence 9. First, you believe that what God created can be changed by your own mind. Now, this is Ken. On some level, we are dissatisfied with what God created. And not only that, we believe we know what is wrong and therefore what should be done about it. In other words, our delusional minds think they have the power beyond the omnipotence of God. And now this is sentence 10 in the same section in the book. Second, you believe that what is perfect can be rendered imperfect or lacking. This is Ken. In its arrogance, the ego believes that somehow it can change the perfect Son of God that God created. And then the third sentence, you believe that you can distort the creations of God, including yourself. Ken, the creation of God, Christ, is perfect and totally within itself and with its source. When the ego believes it has pulled off the impossible feat of separating from God, it believes it has distorted God's creation, which the Course refers to as miscreation. This is also a term that drops off early in the text, replaced by its synonym, make. Further on in our symphony, we will see this distinction between make and create, already hinted at in the miracle principles in chapter 1. The ego makes, spirit creates. And then this is the 4th line. It's the 12th line, but it's the 4th step. Fourth, you believe that you can create yourself and that the direction of your own creation is up to you. Ken, this is another way of saying that we believe we can do the impossible, removing God from the picture and assuming his role of creator, improving on his poor performance. Near the end of chapter 3, we see a discussion of the important psychological term, authority problem, to which Jesus gives a much larger dimension than in common discourse. Its core is the problem we have with God that answers the question, who is the author of my reality? The ego's answer, of course, is me, I am the author. This inevitably sets up a conflict in our minds. With the true author, God knows nothing about this, yet we believe we are at war with him. The spoils being who will be the ultimate authority of ourself. This is the root of all authority problems we experience in the world, a point which we will return to in chapter 3. And then this is chapter 2, 1, paragraph 2, sentences 1 through 2. These related distortions, the 4 steps that we just went through, represent a picture of what actually occurred in the separation or the detour into fear. None of this existed before the separation, nor does it actually exist now. And this is Ken. When Jesus says what actually occurred, he does not mean that the separation truly occurred, as he clarifies in the next sentence. None of this existed before the separation, nor does it actually exist now. Recall the line from the manual, if you read it, that I quoted in the prelude in reference to the separation. In time, this happened very long ago. In reality, it never happened at all. Note that both sides are present. Within the illusion or the dream, this happened long ago. But in the reality that is beyond the dream, it never happened at all. There is no way of reconciling this paradox, because once we attempt to do so, we are saying there is something that has to be reconciled or resolved, truth and illusion, which means we have made the dualistic world of separation real. Inherent in the tiny mad idea of being separate from God is the thought of scarcity. Something is amiss in heaven. The son's immediate response is, I know what it is and what to do about it. It is not difficult to recognize that same dynamic playing out in everyday life, where we actually believe we know the problems, our own or the world's. Some are better at identifying them than others, but everyone has some idea of the nature of what is wrong, from heads of state to ordinary citizens. Even more absurd from the point of view of A Course in Miracles is that we think we know the solutions. All this grandiosity simply reflects the perceived authority conflict between God and the ego. Once the ego believes it has done the impossible and begins to create itself, or more accurately, miscreate, as the substitute for the glorious and majestic self God created, it establishes the split mind. Chapter 3 presents the terms wrong and right mind. The former represents the ego thought system, and the latter the Holy Spirit's. The son is confronted with a choice of which voice or thought system he is going to identify with. One that tells him the separation is real and has actually occurred, resulting in his existence as a separate entity, or one that says with a gentle smile, through the atonement principle, nothing happened. The Holy Spirit, however, does not officially make his entrance into our symphony until chapter 5. And that is the end of this section, The Tiny Mad Idea, in chapter 2 of Ken Wapnick's Journey Through A Course in Miracles text. I love you. Thank you so much for joining with me, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day.